Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch video where today we're going to be talking about DPS and really how easy it is. Now this isn't a diatribe or a rant against the DPS character or DPS players, but most people are DPS players in any video game really that has, DPS, tank, healer, maybe a troller, something else, role, beast tamer, I don't know, depending on your game. But most people pick DPS because it's the easiest, it's the most straightforward. Oh, all I gotta do is do damage. Easy, right? The tank has to worry about, getting up there and, blocking and protecting everybody else. The healer has to worry about keeping everybody up. While the damage dealers, all they have to do is, just throw knives at a cork board and hope that something sticks, right? That's really their job. So, you can see from an objective standpoint that objective-wise, DPS is the easiest thing to do. It's why you see so many of the top 500 players, they play DPS. Why so many people in the higher SR range are DPS players, because it's so easy to rank up as a DPS, right? While, the better teams in the Overwatch League are the ones that have the better tank duos, right? It doesn't really matter as much when it comes to DPS play, because so many people rated the teams with the star DPS players that were drafted. They thought, oh, those are going to be the best teams, and they were clearly wrong when the Overwatch League came out. And those people have a lot of odd ideas about what makes a good team. But regardless, the DPS role is probably the least best understood role in the game. There's so many misconceptions about DPS. People tend to think that all the best players play DPS, or that your best player should be your DPS player. That your all-star needs to be, has to have the ball and shooting all the shots, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case, because this is more of a team game than any other FPS out there. And the fact that it's so objectively surrounded, there's an objective in everything that we do. That fact that it's not deathmatchy or playing that style is not going to benefit you very well past a certain point. Yes, matchmaking is more DPS-y than we would like it to be, and a lot of that has to do with everyone thinking that they're the best suited for the DPS role. Now, the best player doesn't need to play DPS, and you don't always have to have certain characters in order for something to be successful. People are taking such an easy job and making it more difficult for seemingly no reason. Now, I'm not trying to tell you how to play Overwatch. That's not what this is about, and I'm not the best example out there because I'm just a lowly, low tier player. I just play in Diamond. I'm just like the rest of y'all. But one of the things that people tend to misunderstand, and here you see me do something that only 1% of players actually do, especially on DPS. When something's working, switching. And the map changed, we got past the streets phase, and Pharah isn't going to be as useful here, so I decided that Junkrat was best suited for the job. I was like 18-1 with Pharah. I was not doing a bad job. I was doing what I needed to do, but I needed to make the switch in order to help facilitate the win best for the team. And that's what anybody should do, no matter what role that they have. Obviously, people in Overwatch do not value things the same way in other FPS games. Like, say, if you play Call of Duty or some, Twitch shooter like that, people care about one thing, right? KD. They care about KD and getting kill streaks. That's what people care about in that game. They don't care about the objective. And Overwatch, it's a little bit different. People also don't seem to care about the objective, which is winning, as much. They care not so much about the KD, but they care about playing the heroes that they want to play, right? And that's fine, but we're in competitive, and that's the mode for people that want to try to win the most. So you're going to have to play, you're going to have healers, you're going to have tanks on your game. But, with healers, especially, ones that aren't Mercy, where it's just so straightforward, there's really only one thing you can really do, and that's heal somebody, maybe damage boost, and, res every once in a while. People don't tend to play other healers as well because, they have Ana with a gun. They're like, all right, I have a gun, I'm going to shoot the enemies instead of healing my teammates, which is one of the reasons why people don't seem to perform so well when they're not Mercy or Moira, where it's just so easy to heal because it's just like such an obvious thing to do. And tanks require synergy. You can have a good Reinhardt, but if the other tank on your team, if you even have another tank, which is something that happens all the time in matchmaking, because, once again, everyone wants to play DPS. is that other tank you have to play well with. You have to have good communication to outplay the other team. Your healers have to work in coordination for each other. The healers have to have all these spinning plates, you know, keeping everybody topped off and doing what they do. Peel for the other healer, which not many people do. The tanks also should peel for their healers or other DPSs that are in trouble. So these are more things that we see, you know, advanced teams that have a lot more coordination do, that you don't see very often in matchmaking, and that's what makes playing tank and healer so much more difficult. And I think playing main tank is the most difficult job in Overwatch, because you're going to be quite vulnerable and you have to rely a lot on other people to do the job in order for you to do your job. If if your tank isn't playing properly and your Zarya, you're not going to be able to get the right charge. If your healers are just focusing on, you know, healing their teammate who's the Widow or the McCree or something, you're not going to stand a chance. If you're a Reinhardt and, you know, nobody protects you when your shield gets broken, or, you know, plays behind your shield and takes advantage of that shield of blocking damage, then they're going to die because the healers won't be able to heal them up as much. So the tanks and the healers have a lot more things to worry about. Like whenever you see in Overwatch League, or where people are playing the game the way that it most certainly should be played, you know, at the very least we see this more often with full teams, is that once they lose the main tank, all right, everybody back off, or Ryan's dead, or Winston's dead, or Orisa's dead, we can't challenge the point right now, or we lost our Mercy, let's get back. You don't see that happen when they lose the Widowmaker, or when they lose the Hanzo. It's because that's still a winnable fight, because you still have your tanks and your healers. They're the more important aspects, you know, the more important chemicals in that formula. You don't see someone's, oh damn, you know, our Reaper's down, we gotta go back. It's like, no, we could still heal up the Zarya and the Ryan or the Diva or the Winston or the Orisa or whatever it may be, and, you know, get the job done, because they can contest, they can do damage themselves, whereas, you know, damage dealers, all they can really do is damage. Yes, some of them can heal either themselves, or, you know, Soldier has that big AoE, but people are trying to make the job more difficult than it needs to be. A lot of that has to do with character select. Pharah is so easy. It's so easy to play Pharah and get good value out of her, because still to this day, people, they don't know how to fight against Pharah, especially Pharmacy. Pharmacy has always been god tier in matchmaking, because you need coordination in order to kill a Mercy that's in the air, or kill a Pharah that's being constantly healed. That's not something that you can do by yourself pretty much no matter what you're doing. Now, people still tend to be under the belief that if they have a Pharah, well, let's get a Soldier or a McCree. Those aren't the best answers against Pharah. The best answer against Pharah obviously is, you know, a Widow that's hitting her shots, but you don't see that in matchmaking, because Widow players don't tend to be good, you know, in the bottom 99% of games. But, and, you know, McCrees aren't going to be hitting their shots also, and there, I thought it was still on the windowsill, so I fell to my death. You know, I didn't play amazing in this game. I'm not getting gold to limbs. I'm not getting play of the game. I'm not getting, you know, huge ultimates. I'm just playing my position the way that it should be played. Safely, consistent, easy damage. I'm picking Junkrat. He's always great against everything, always has been. And I'm picking Pharah in the right situations. And I'm switching between the two when the map and the comps call for it, because I like winning. That's what I do. That's why I mostly play tank and healer, because everyone else wants to play DPS. And so, you know, I play the roles that need to be played, because I'm in a game mode, most oftenly, if that's a word, that people are supposed to be caring more so about winning. But they don't play it that way. They try to make an easy job more complicated than it is. So many people pick Torbjorn and Symmetra and Doomfist and McCree and Genji, when you're just not going to be able to get that good of a result out of those characters, especially consistently and across a variety of team compositions. Your tank duo is the most important thing that you can have out there in the game, and obviously you're gonna need a main healer, especially the way that things are, you know, in the game right now, currently developing. But so many people tend to pick the wrong DPS at the wrong time. Too many people are solo maining Torb no matter what. They're one tricking or no tricking Symmetra, as I say, because if you're only picking Torbjorn or Symmetra, you're not even playing that correctly. So you're a no tricker, not a one tricker. But you know, Reaper is just so easy to get in there and get damage done. People don't play against the Pharah as well as they should, and people kind of just let the Pharah go. I think we've all been in games where our enemy has a Pharah, and our team just isn't contesting them. And if Pharah reigns the skies completely free, then that team's gonna win that game most likely. Unless the other 5 people on that team are just not playing the objective at all, which yes, does happen from time to time. But just being able to pick something as easy as a Pharah or a Junkrat to get consistent, easy, big damage and really good ultimates out of is just going to be way more consistent, and your highs are going to be higher, your lows are going to be higher than if you're picking these McCrees and Torbjorns and Symmetras and Hanzos and Genjis and Tracers out there. One of the weird things about Blizzard is that they nerfed Pulse Bomb, which was already the hardest ultimate to hit in the entire game. And Junkrat gets a better ult. Yes, it can be destroyed, but you're going to get a kill, or at the very least hit somebody with it more often than you will a Pulse Bomb, which is harder to get on its own. And especially in matchmaking, tires are going to be much easier to hit with, and they'll charge faster than a Pulse Bomb will, or almost any other ult out there in a variety of situations. And people keep talking about how good Grav and Dragons are as an ultimate combo. Grav Barrage is a much better combo. That's just more damage, more chunk damage, less likely to be stopped by a Transcendence or a Lucio Beat Drop or Brigitte Armor or something like that. You can't stop that against the Barrage, especially with the Graviton and the right angle, which doesn't take all that much to get away with. So many people play Pharah incorrectly because they think that Pharah is a ground unit for some reason and they don't fly. I think we've all had those players on our teams. And yes, Reaper is super easy to play. All he has to do is walk behind their tank and fight whatever they're fighting, win the good fight. You're healing while you're doing damage, and you're getting a really good ult that can absolutely wipe teams that do not have good communication. But a lot of the Reapers that we do see go for 1v6s and they lose, right? So a lot of characters are played incorrectly, but DPS players seem to be under the impression that we need to bow down before them because they have gold limbs, right? Or gold damage, or hey, I keep getting picks, but they're picks after the fight's already over, where they should have ran away, and they're throwing away their ultimates that aren't going to be getting any value out of because the rest of the team's already dead. So no, DPS players should not be bowed down and worshipped, and they do not have the hardest job. It's an easy job that they tend to way overcomplicate with the heroes that they're choosing or the way that they choose to do it. So those are just my 2 cents on the game. A lot of people tend not to understand the role that DPS players have in this game because they'll pick 3 or 4 DPSs on defense and wonder why they lost. DPS is not the answer. You need tanks and you need healers. It's just when the DPSs aren't doing their jobs is when you seem like you need more damage. And if there are 3 DPS or 4 DPS players on my team and I'm playing Zarya or D.Va, I'm getting more damage and more limbs than they are, and I'm staying alive longer and doing more so for my healers, for the other tank if we have one, and more so for the team. So do what's best for the team. Try to do something consistently, work with the team, and DPS is not that hard, so let's try to not overcomplicate the easiest thing to do in the game.